Hey friends, I hope this message finds you doing well. I am super excited about this week because we are now in single digits to the big day, till Christmas Day. And it is so exciting. We've got a week and a half to go, and then we wake up Christmas morning. And I just hope that joy starts to transcend your life right now, because I know for me as a kid, when Christmas came, I was just so giddy about everything. I love Christmas. I love everything about Christmas. I love the lights. I love the decorations. I just love it all. And of course, as a kid, you get really excited because of all the presents that you find under the tree. But it's all about Jesus. And as you grow up and you start to realize that, I hope that joy comes with you into that area of your life, into that season of your life, that as the toys fade and the gifts fade away, that every year it is always about Jesus. And that should be enough to bring you great joy. But as you have little children who are excited about the gifts, be joyful with them, embrace it, love with them, because those are memories they're going to take for the rest of their life. And so I'm just so glad to be here. I'm so glad to be doing a video as we've been walking through the book of Luke. And if you've been following our little reading plan that we've challenged at the beginning, you should have read Luke chapter 16 today. And so this last week has been a lot of great chapters, specifically about how the Pharisees are starting to get upset with Jesus because he keeps healing people on the Sabbath day, a day that has been designed to rest for the Jewish culture. They took it, and they took it way beyond what it was supposed to be, and they've made it into this entire entity of something that it wasn't created to become. And Jesus recognized that, but the Pharisees held true to the law. And so every time Jesus would heal someone on the Sabbath, they started to talk amongst themselves. Who is this guy? Who does he think he is? What gives him the authority and the power and the right to be able to do things like this on the Sabbath? And I always love how Jesus responds. Basically, he just gives them a checkmate by saying, listen, if one of your donkey or your ox or any of your animals were stuck in a well on the Sabbath, would you not run to it to pull it out? Of course you would, right? Anybody in their right mind would do that. If not, you're insane. And so why wouldn't you see your animals, your pets, your family, somebody who's struggling, why wouldn't you run in there to help them out? And Jesus just says, listen, without saying the words, he's like, you have no idea what you're doing or who you're even correcting. Just trust me when I say it's better for this man to be healed and to pursue God in everything he has than for me to walk away and rest on the Sabbath. And so you see some chapters like that partake, but specifically what I want to talk about tonight is Luke 15. Luke 15 is one of my favorite chapters in the entire Bible. In fact, it culminates the entire book of Luke into just a short few verses. And so what it talks about is the lost. And like I've shared in the weeks previous to tonight, Luke really cares about the lost. I mean, he is Dr. Luke for one, but he really cares about the people who society has thrown away. Those who seem to have no hope. They have nothing going for them. They are the poorest of the poor. They're the broken of the broken, and they just seem utterly hopeless. And Luke says Jesus has impacted their life in a way that is huge for the kingdom of God. And if we're not careful, we miss these stories. And so Luke 15 has three incredible stories of the lost. We've got a lost sheep, a lost coin, and the lost son, the prodigal son, as you maybe have told in your years. And so let's just talk about those. The lost sheep is where Jesus leaves the 99, those who are safe, those who are in their element, and he goes and he pursues the lost sheep. Now, this may not mean much to you until you understand what a shepherd is. Right? Now, Psalm 23 talks about how Jesus is our great shepherd, right? He's got a staff and he's got a rod. Now, let's talk about that for a moment. This staff and rod that he has, the rod is to throw it around my neck and to guide the sheep, right? To guide us, to guide me. And because there's times where I want to go and I want to do my own thing and I want to go this way and I want to go that way. And let's be honest, if you've ever been around sheep, they're not the smartest people. So us being described as sheep in the Bible isn't really a term of endearment. It's more of a, hey, you guys don't really see real good. You don't think very strong sometimes. You don't really understand what you're getting yourselves into. And so you need somebody who can guide you, right? And so that shepherd's hook is what helps guide us. And then he's got that rod that he beats the daylights out of anything that comes into our path. Anything that's going to be an obstacle between us and God, Jesus is there as the good shepherd to just beat it and destroy it and get it out of our way. And so why wouldn't we want to follow a shepherd like that, right? Someone who is willing to go out of his way to leave all those who are safe in the pen because they don't need a safety net. They're already in the hands of Jesus. They're already in the safest place they could possibly be. So when people look at this story and they see Jesus go out of their way for one person, man, that's deep, especially when that person is you. Especially when that sheep is you, straying off into whatever your heart desires, and you realizing how broken and lost you are in a wilderness that you're not familiar with your shepherd who you've walked away from, who is now pursuing you with everything he has to find you. And then we get the lost coin, right, that falls, and the lady is looking for it, and she can't find it, and she ends up finding it. And then we get to the prodigal son, right? This is the heart of the story. The prodigal son is at home, and he's there, and he basically wakes up one morning and says, Dad, I got to be honest with you. I don't really like it here. I understand you've had your household, you've ran it your way, and things have been okay, but I just got to tell you, I'm not really happy with how life is going. And so if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and just ask for my part of the inheritance, because I've got a life that I need to live. You know, I only get one of those, and so I want to go and live my life the way that I feel like I should, and I just hope that you understand. And I'm not wishing you into an early grave or anything like that, but I'm just asking if you'd go ahead and bless me with my inheritance, and I'll just kind of see where life takes me. How many of us do that every day? How many of us are those people where we have a structure, we have a safety net, we have what we know to be good and to be true, but yet we see something outside the window that we just desire. We see something out there that seems to be good, that looks good, that we desire. But friends, most of the time, that is sin, right? If you read the book of James, it tells you how sin is developed. Sin develops in the mind. It's a thought that progresses into a lust, that progresses to a deeper thought, into an action. Right? That's what the book of James tells us. And I can't tell you how many times I myself have fallen into that trap. Right? And so the son gets his inheritance, and we don't even know if he says goodbye. Maybe he does and says, all right, Dad, thanks a lot. I'll see you. Maybe he says goodbye to his family, and then the son is just off. And he is living his best life. Right? He's buying prostitutes. He's going to do all these concerts and all these things that are just taking the money that's been given to him. And he is just living a wondrous life, an aimless life. And he's lost in the wilderness right now. And so he gets to a point where he breaks down, right? He gets to a point where he's lost everything, where things don't seem to make sense, where he has no resources anymore. And now he's realizing, I'm broke. What do I do? And so the first thought that comes to his mind is, well, I should probably get a job. And so he finds this pig farmer, and he goes and says, hey, I'll work for you. And as he progresses through that and starts to work, he realizes that, man, this guy didn't take care of his servants very well either. And he gets to a point where an epiphany kind of takes place in his mind. And he realizes for the very first time that his dad treated the servants of his house better than this guy treats his workers. And so now he's got this dilemma in his mind where he's run away for so long and has maybe forgotten what it's like to be at home. And now he's starting to miss home. He's starting to miss that comfort. He's starting to miss the shepherd who is guiding, who is leading, who I am depending on. And he is starting to miss that security. And so now the thought pops into his head, I wonder if my dad will take me back home. Not as a son, because I pretty much screwed that relationship up, but maybe as a servant, maybe as a worker, because I know my dad and I know how well he takes care of those who work for him. And maybe, just maybe, he'll let me come back as a worker, and I can live and save up money, and maybe I can get back on my feet again. But it's really hard to restore relationships with people that you've broken them with, isn't it? It's really hard for us to restore a broken relationship, especially when we are the ones who are at fault, when we are the ones who have been the ones breaking and burning those bridges. And it's so humbling and humiliating to have to go to that person and say, hey, I screwed this up. Will you forgive me? But this is the heart of the Christmas story. You may have been thinking, Brandon, I love reading through Luke, but what does this have to do with the Christmas story? Luke 15 is everything about the Christmas story, right? Because God identifies his people as adulterous. I mean, you see it all over the Old Testament. You see it all over the New Testament. And God is talking about his bride, his church, his people as people who just wander aimlessly through the desert, pursuing every passion that they have, following a heart that so easily deceives the mind to where we go after every little thing that penetrates our attention. and we desire, and we are a culture of instant gratification. And so rather than staying here where it's healthy, where it's safe, where we're protected, where we have a shepherd who has a staff to beat off any enemy that's coming for us, we tend to run off on our own and go after the things that we desire, that look appealing, that seem to satisfy a desire at the moment. But what I've learned over my years of ministry is that an appetite never is fully satisfied. It always grows. And so what seems to be appealing now is only going to lead to a deeper, to a darker moment where sin is going to finally be exposed and you're going to find yourself broken and humiliated. And maybe you've taken a lot of relationships down with you. But this story culminates the entire Christmas story. Why? Because you and I are the lost boy. You and I are the ones who go off and we take the good thing that God has given us and we go off into the world and we never use it and we abuse it and we want everything that we want. And God says, I need to find a way to bridge the gap between the people who have gone before and have lost their way. Those sheep who have left the 99, who have went after their own desires. I'm going to go pursue them with everything that I have. And then the prodigal son story, as the son returns, he's probably coming up with a dialogue as he's got to try to say something that means something to his father, an apology of sorts. And as he is dwelling on this and starts walking down the long drive back to the house, his dad sees him from afar. And he just busts through the door and he runs after his son, which, by the way, Jewish men, they don't run. So this is a huge impact in the story. But it says the father opens the door and he just runs after his son. And he takes his son in and he tells the servants, go get the fattened calf and bring them and slaughter because we are going to have a feast. Well, there's a problem there because there's a brother. And the brother's a little bit upset. He's jealous. He says, listen, I've been here the whole time. I've done my due diligence. I've been serving in the church. I've been doing all my parts. I serve as an elder, as a deacon. I've been on the worship team. I've even preached a few sermons every now and again. And yet this guy who squandered everything that you've given him is now coming back and you're going to kill the fattened calf? And we have people that just don't understand the generosity of who God is. But here's what I want you to know. As we dive into this Christmas season, as you return from your ways, as you return from your life that you thought you needed, that you thought you desired, and as maybe you come broken and humble this Christmas season, as you come before the Lord saying, God, I've given everything away. I've squandered the wealth that you've provided for me. And you come and you want to be a part of a church and you want to be a part of the kingdom of God, but yet something in your mind and your heart just tells you you're not enough because you've already abused what God has given you and he'll never take you back. And if you believe that lie, I'm telling you tonight, that is the furthest thing from the truth. In fact, God has already kicked the door down, running after you right now, pursuing you with every single thing that he has. You are the one sheep that God has left everyone behind to go find. That's how much he means to you. And God didn't go kill the fattened calf for your return. He gave the only thing that meant anything to him at all, and that was his very own son, Jesus Christ. We don't have a fattened calf waiting for us as a celebration. God has given us his son. And he said, my son has returned, therefore I'm giving you my son, who I will put on a cross one day, who will carry the weight of the world, the sins of the world, so that you and I can be restored, so that you can be forgiven. So if you feel like you've gone so far, that you've been so lost, to where you are standing in a room by yourself, God is standing right there looking at you and he says, I'm right here. I'm right here. I've been waiting for you to come home. And he embraces you and he loves on you. And as the tears just fall from your face, as you put yourself before God saying, I'm sorry, what did I do? What did I do? I just imagine God holding you saying, I'm just glad you're home. Now, I haven't gotten to that part in my life where my kids are grown up and gone away, but I know some of you have. And that feeling when you haven't seen them for so long and they finally come home and they give you that great big hug and the tears probably fall from your eyes, but they don't see it. They don't feel it because they don't see your face when they're embraced in your arms, but you slowly wipe away the tear because inside there's a joy of knowing that your child has been back home, that your child has returned. And whatever comes with that, whatever baggage comes with that, you're just glad that they're home. That's what I picture when I hear this story. Is that God is just holding you and he's wiping the tears from his eyes as he's embracing you and hugging you and holding your head and just telling you, I'm so glad that you're home. My son has returned. My daughter's returned. And he's given his very own son so that you and I can be restored to a righteous God. If that's not the Christmas story in a nutshell, I probably don't know how else to explain it. That's Luke 15. And he cares so much about the lost. And so if you feel right now that you are lost and you are broken, you are in good company, because there are a lot of people in the Bible that are screwed up. There's a lot of people walking our earth today who are screwed up. And if I can be honest with you, I'm pretty screwed up. And I'm so glad that God's willing to forgive me and hold me tight and tell me how much he loves me. And he's going to do the same for you. Friends, as we draw near to Christmas next Friday is Christmas. I just pray that this gets you there. I pray that you just remember how much God has done for you, how much God is loving you, and what he's sent to this broken world to show that he loves us. And that's his son, Jesus. I hope you guys stay encouraged this week. I hope that you have a blessed week and just finish strong. Wherever you're at right now, wherever you're at mentally, emotionally, physically, finish strong. It's worth it. Merry Christmas.